Here we go.
A lot.
Good evening and welcome to the April 9th edition of the Community Development Advisory Committee. Roll call, we have all members in attendance except for Wendy, who is not with us this evening. Before we get to the approval of the agenda, I just want to thank Adrian for stepping in as the chair at the last meeting. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Approval of the agenda. We're looking for a recommendation that the April 9th, 2024 Community Development Advisory Committee meeting agenda be approved as circulated. Brad and Councillor Wilsey. Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. Any declaration of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the minutes from Tuesday, March the 12th, 2024. Looking for a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes. Adrian, Councillor Pammer, any comments or questions? Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. Presentations, we have, I can't remember the last time we had a presentation at CDAC, which is pretty cool. I'd like to welcome Mr. Horst Line to talk about local pickleball. Horst, welcome. Okay, Horst, I've been given the, you know on TV where they give you the time check and all that? We have a timer on you. Horst, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
So basically it's just about outdoor pickleball, that we need more space for tennis and pickleball. And therefore making room for all means if we change a few vertical and horizontal lines inside of the tennis court facility of 4 courts, we basically will reach more space for teams to play. That's basically all there is.
You want to take us through the PowerPoint? Because we have viewers at home probably looking at the PowerPoint right now as well as the members. You want to take us through? And will you take us through the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Page by
So,
page?
yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So next screen, of course. Yeah. So statistic is we have like 4 pickleball courts inside, which are fully booked for the last years. And we have basically even people waiting. So from Monday to Friday, we have 4 or 5 actually sessions in the morning at West Middlesex Arena, and then we have 4 sessions in the afternoon and evenings. So we are fairly booked. Up to 20 people are on a waiting list during the season to play in the mornings mainly, and then people have been sent away in the evenings, but it's all indoor where we have 4 pickleball courts where only 16 players can play, and then around 10 people could be waiting patiently to be inside of the group who can play. And in the outdoor season we only have 4, and certainly we have only 6 months for it, but 4 courts where pickleball and or tennis can be played. Next screen, please. So typically what we have in peak times on those 4 courts, we have maybe 2 tennis players, then a group of pickleball players, usually 4, and then 2 tennis players again, and then 5 to 11 pickleball players with lawn chairs, camping out for 2 hours, having a good time, and certainly some need breaks because the core group who plays, of course, there will be players young and old, but 30 to 80 years old are playing in that group. And then people are coming, and basically you have an hour time to play, and then the next team would step in. But then, of course, we also have teams who are basically have to leave because they don't want to wait. So basically we are restrained in our possibilities here at the West Memorial. Middlesex. So next, please. Left, and that's certainly in good condition. We don't have that condition at this time here at the outdoors facility. We have cracks, dents, and so on, but basically that's what we have left. You see the white lanes, or lines, which basically indicate tennis, and the inside, you can see the smaller ones here indicated in blue. We have it in yellow, where we take up this space for 1 pickleball court, which is basically not properly utilized, the whole group. When you have the right-hand side, you have 4 pickleball courts on one tennis court. So that means we have only 4 courts, but here you have in one court already 4, which also means that there will be 3 more where people can do whatever there is. As long as this is not filled up, the pickleball players don't have to go to the right. So that's it. Next screen, please. Same again, just visually differently. There you see in black the tennis, and then you have in white the pickleball courts. So you have in the middle the black bar vertically, and that means that the tennis net, and that's also the catcher of the pickleball courts. You have ball exchanges of 4 times the amount approximately in speed, and ball exchanges where you lose the balls, usually north to south. And that will be indicated soon enough with the next screen. Yeah, sorry, certainly the joke friends with benefits, but basically we have the benefits of ball boys or ladies, because we lose balls plenty of times, and when you exchange it between north and south, you have basically, if you have tennis, then pickleball, then tennis and pickleball, it might be nice to segregate them a little bit from left to right, because then you don't have the trouble of interfering too much with the other players. So we would basically build 8 pickleball courts on 2 tennis courts while it's not interfered with the tennis. That means tennis can proceed, 4 tennis teams on those 4 courts is still possible. It's just more making space for all of them who show up. Then you have certainly less running around, because it will be more in one spot and not going to the other sides. Because the problem is, when you play a ball, it goes usually to the end where it's interfered from any kind of screen or net. So you have on point 6, you have basically then numbered them as 1A to 2D on two tennis courts, and you have 8 pickleball fields possible, which can be used individually, and we have a little bit of a segregation possible of left pickleball, right tennis, if so. Yes, next one, please. Process and cost. We have 4 pickleball outdoor nets already, which are not utilized at this time, stored at the indoor facility, which would be possible to be used then in this project. And we only have to change a few lines, 6 vertically, 8 horizontal, need to be removed, because as I showed you in the screen before, on the display, there is only 1 pickleball field in the tennis court, and those have to be removed. But we have to add on then more, that means 24 and 32, which is quite a simple undertaking. The cost for it is basically $1,000 to $2,000, because it is basically done in less than a day. But I would encourage, and basically I was talking to Paul, and also Walter was calling me back today, and he said, whatever the case, I'll handle it with Paul if it's necessary, but I would encourage basically to use the road lane signs we have internally used on the tarmac, because it is a better paint for the project than the professionally made ones, because it is thicker and it basically disturbs the ball when it bounces on it. And then we need, if we go with this project, basically 4 more portable pickleball nets, which is basically $85.99 per, so times 4. Thanks. Next, please. Oh no, they did, yes. So, no, the last, no, one bit back, sorry. Well, yeah. So, it's in workable condition, the courts. We have a few dents, especially in the net, the tennis net, and we have a few cracks, so one day it will have to be improved, which again is not much, but certainly more would be asked for to do that. And then you have the pickleball. Everybody here, I would assume now, in the last 5 years has learned what this is, but basically this is 1/3 of the weight of a tennis ball. So any wind would make a big change of the ball when it's flowing. We have no screen on the west side. So all the wind can basically uninterfered go in it, and then you have the two funnels of the two nets, the mesh nets we have right now. So I would assume it would be nice to have another net on the west side, which I assume doesn't take much up because we have had money spent already on the left side, and it was financed through those companies. But regardless, it would be nice to have the one net also installed soon enough. And then for the outdoor pickleball nets, it would be nice to have them stored inside of the outdoor courts, and then with a key lock, so people have a key to open up and put the portable box open, and then putting the net up, which is basically take like 3.5 minutes to build it up or down. And then, as I heard today, basically there is already a tournament planned, which I had no clue about. But it would be nice because if you have 8 fields plus 2 of the normal ones, we would have 10 pickleball courts available for kind of tournament. And then there's the last screen as a joke. So yeah, we have had problems playing, and suddenly there is sometimes you can be more critical with your partner sometimes. But the beauty is with this project, 98% of all the pickleball and tennis players will get along just fine with those changes. That's it.
Thank you, Horst. Questions for Horst at this time? Comments, questions? Councillor Bachman.
So just so I'm clear on the request, you're suggesting you remove 2 of the courts, tennis courts permanently?
No. The tennis courts will be not interfered whatsoever. They are there and they stay. The only thing which we have to remove if we basically build 4 tennis courts on one tennis court, we built 4 pickleball court lanes. That's all. Can you go back to the to number 3 or 4 where we have the, yes, thank you. So the left we have, you see the blue lanes close to the tennis net. Yes, thank you. So these are the lanes which we have to remove. That's it.
Okay.
Therefore, the tennis court stays as is, will not change, but then we have to make those lanes or lines in red on the right-hand side. That's it. Very simple task, can be done in less than a day. To just put those lanes up, and that's it. Nothing else has to be done. The portable nets, I brought one there, but basically it's just a portable net.
And how much space would be between the 2 courts side by side?
There will be 3 to 4 feet between those. That's it. But basically, we have here the same space.
Would that be the same between the next tennis court then? 3 or 4 feet?
Yeah. So it's basically evenly matched, but we have the same space restraint when you know the indoor court at West Middlesex. The same restraint we have there, because you have a wall on both sides, which we basically have a little bit of trouble. But the same space restraint basically is here, the same. It will not change. And you can see how much it's used. Nobody complains about the space restraint we have at this moment indoors, but we would have the same. That's all, basically. One on the left, the lane removal in blue, and the red has to be done. That's it.
Yeah, follow up.
Yeah, so because the nets are portable, then I'm assuming then the pickleball times would be scheduled? Is that the intention? So
Yeah.
it's pickleball court between these hours and then tennis court between these hours?
I was talking to Nikki Bolton, who is like indoor, the organizer. My suggestion would be that there's a key lock for the box outside, then you have like constant players who have a key already, but Nikki would have the control who has a key, and she would give out the key in normal day times from 9 to 5. But it's a very simple thing to have like a steel or wooden box there stored for those 8 outdoor nets, and then you have to build them up. That's it.
Horst, I have 2 questions spinning off Councillor Pelkman. What about the players who are not regular players? How do they get a net?
There's a sign where basically it says pick up the key for the net. The other suggestion is some have nets already. They could bring them themselves because
So that would require a staff member at West Middlesex,
only at daytime from 9 to 5.
and that would not include an arena personnel. It would be a recreational staff member, or could it be anybody? Well, depending what the town. Now, my question is diagram on the right, the distance between the pickleball, end of the pickleball courts, and the tennis net. Is there a safety hazard there, as far as distance? Do you know how much room there would be in between?
Yeah, the same as in the wall, the same as in the indoor. So the same safety problem would be there, and there you have a wall, which is basically a lot harder than a mesh.
Okay.
You'd have more room. You'd have more room there than in the gym.
No, because
Here, between the wall and
No.
and the net.
no, it's the same. I measured basically
Okay.
just when was it, Tuesday or so? No.
No, I was asking between the natural tennis net
Yeah.
and the end of the pickleball court.
Yeah,
Same as,
yeah, as indoors. So you know, by we were sometimes not really running into the wall, but we certainly touched the paddle or something.
Director Lilborn,
I forget what my question was.
you want me to go to somebody else?
Yeah.
Councillor Wilson.
In the event we decide to go through with this, and this question would be to Horst, would this be something, and probably to the director as well, could we do this under the PTP program? And if we did do it through the PTP program, would any local pickleball, under that we have to get, because it's not in the budget already for this year, we'd have to get 50% of the cash from a local organization. Is that something that the pickleball organization would be willing to put up to cover half the cost?
So it could be a PTP project. I would encourage that staff research costing through an approved contractor. I'm not convinced that the roads department equipment and paint would be necessarily a permanent solution. As we see with typical road markings, they wear and fade over time. And then be something we'd end up doing probably on an annual basis. And then if we're doing that, then you're gonna have high and low spots as the paint builds up, as you can see with road markings. So I would encourage that staff have to go out and get proper pricing with regards to doing this. And before anything is decided upon, I think a report to council, you know, with this information along with costing be presented. And I would suspect it'd be a 2025 project, not a 2024 project, unless there are matching funds from the community to do that through PTP, such as you suggested.
You're good, Councillor Wilson, you want to follow up there?
The second part of that question was to Horst to see if his group would be willing to put up half the cost once we know that cost. If that's something they're interested in, or if they want it fully paid, then let's decide if it's this year or next year.
Horst, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not, I don't think, is it an official pickleball group that you're a part of, or it's just a bunch of people we get together on Mondays and Thursday nights? Can you turn your mic on for me, sir?
Yeah, so basically, we already volunteered to basically do it ourselves, but I have been told that would be out of the question because it has to be unionized. And basically, raising the funds would be no concern, honestly. I mean, I put it even out of my own pocket, I wouldn't care. But the thing is, like, if we're talking about, if it's like professionally done, we're talking about like $1,000 or $2,000. It's not really that much. But Apologies, I hope it's not too forthcoming.
Councillor Pammer.
Just to confirm, we do have money left for CDAC, right? Our budget this year, there's still money available in the budget, correct?
For PTP?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, we haven't spent the $40,000 that's allocated.
Okay. And so I think this is an excellent idea and a great solution to a problem we hear a lot of is there's not enough pickleball spaces. The only feedback I would have is if we could come back with a solution of how those nets could be set up in the evening times when there is no staff around. And in the summer, I'm sure it's just as busy in the evening when people want to go play pickleball. So I'll put a motion on the floor to ask staff to look at this proposal, come back with some costing and some potential solutions, or not solutions, but some logistics of the whole project, and bring that back to us for consideration. It would go, just for clarification, Rob, it would come here first for our approval before it goes to council, correct? Yeah, okay, so I would motion that.
Councillor Pop, you have a question or you want to second it? You want a question? Go ahead. Or comment?
Yeah, because it may change your motion. My first question is if we're looking at doing 2, why don't we look at doing 4? That's my first question. And then secondly, I would have some concerns about the evening bit because pickleball's noisy and there are people that live close by that I don't think I want complaints from neighbors at 11 o'clock at night.
Councillor Pelkman, we play pickleball Thursday nights or Wednesday nights at the Caradoc Community Center, and there's a Lions Club meeting next door, and they come over and watch, and we're banging balls along the walls. I'm just saying.
If I may, just to Councillor Pelkman's point, there have been lawsuits laid against municipalities for the deterioration of quality of living in neighborhoods in cities due to pickleball. So I would just caution, if we do get complaints, we may need to adjust or whatever it could be.
Steve.
I just have a question on the painting wise. Has this been tried somewhere else? So have they tried this at another facility, another organization? And how confusing would it be for the tennis players with that many lines on? That would just be my other thing. And maybe not, maybe they painted the right colors, maybe there's certain colors that aren't confusing. I'm just looking at it and it's like, all of a sudden there's a lot of lines on there.
I just played last year, and I can only speak for myself. It's not confusing at all if you're a tennis player because you're familiar with the boundary lines, but I can only speak for myself. I don't think it would be confusing at all. Director?
It'd be no different than a current gymnasium. Current gymnasium has badminton lines, volleyball lines, basketball lines, pickleball lines, right? So when you're playing the sport, you focus on that line. It may take a little, the first half an hour or maybe 10 minutes to get familiarized, but after that, it's just becomes part of the game.
And the second part,
Yeah, go ahead.
has it been?
Can you turn your mic on for me, Steve?
Yeah, I asked it before, but has this been tried somewhere else? Like, are we getting this from somebody who's already tried it and they've worked out the kinks and it looks like a go?
This is happening. This is happening everywhere. Sarnia is going through it as we speak. I believe Horst got this information from Florida, so this is not new.
Councillor Pelkman.
I will second her motion, but
Okay, and just for a refresher, Councillor Pammer, can you revoice the motion for us, please?
So the motion was to have a report come back to us from staff looking at the proposal and with a costing and logistics.
Councillor Pelkman, still good?
Yep.
Okay, any other comments or Councillor Pelkman?
Yes, thank you. I still see this as a temporary solution. And so if, I would strongly suggest that as pickleball continues to be a growing sport, that you in some ways organize yourself so that you can start fundraising for pickleball specific courts, and have a proper 8 courts that are dedicated to pickleball all the time.
Horst, one final comment from you, and then we're going to throw it to a vote.
Yeah, so when it comes to the noise, I can say basically we don't have any kind of complaints so far because it's really far away from any kind of living space over there. The only concern which has been addressed to us, like that people certainly park when it comes to events in parking spaces where they are allowed to. So that's number one. And when it comes to fundraising, if I would have known I can fundraise, I would have already shown you $1,000-$2,000 from the group of pickleball players who would say, hey, let's do the lines. Even volunteer time of pickleball players to do it themselves would be no problem to organize it in 2 weeks if need to be. Especially if there's a tournament, it would be advisable to have something of at least provisional circumstances allowing this spring, because basically last year I already talked about it and it has not progressed, but it certainly here is now more an official request. That's it.
I do have one question for the director, because in the presentation it says the courts are currently with minor dents and cracks. Weren't they just redone a couple years ago or less than a couple years ago, director?
The tennis courts, the resurfacing of the courts has been over 5 years.
Oh, okay.
There is funds set aside to do some minor crack repair. That was supposed to get done last year, but product became scarce, so
Okay.
it's scheduled to get done this spring.
My apologies, it seemed more recent than that. Any questions or further comments to the motion on the table? On the floor? Anyone opposed to the motion? Carried. Thank you, Horst. Staff's gonna look into this and come back to us at our next meeting in May. And we'll keep you in the loop. Thank you. Next on the agenda, unfinished business, advertising strategy. I believe to the director.
So let me get back to my agenda. So at the last CDAC meeting, we were asked to develop a policy around advertising. So we have pulled together a draft. We have reviewed it. We've made some internal comments, but I share it with the committee for comments. You'll notice that one of the items with regards to some of the documentation that we use is the Canadian Code of Advertising Standards, along with their website and so on. Along with this package, I provided a inventory list of where we feel advertising could go. So I will leave it there. I'm not sure if anyone has any comments or questions.
Do we have any comments or questions? Councillor Pelkman.
The only, it's actually quite a list when you start reading it all, but I wondered about the light standards, if we could do vertical advertising on the light standards.
Do you mean where the steel portion is?
Yes.
Yes, we could. I would look at stickers or wrap of some sort.
Wrap it in a mesh and, yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Pammer.
One thing that just came to mind when I was reading this was about the amount of staff time it might take to coordinate this. It's almost like a full-time sales job. And I don't know if that's the expertise currently in this department or whether that's anything they want to do either. So just wondering how you kind of saw this rolling out and if there'd be any other costs associated with it.
So I don't see us hiring another staff person to execute this project. The initial intent is we already do advertising on rink boards. We already have some advertising in different locations. I look at this running kind of parallel to our sponsorship program, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, last year brought in over $25,000. So we look at this as more of a send it out to the public, you know, reach out if there's any interest, and then come back. We're not actively chasing people. We don't have the staff time to do that. So it'll be a bit of a passive approach. If we get a little bit of a nibble on the line, then we may spend some time with that group. But outside of that, some staff time to create brochures and flyers and so on to market the program. The list is very exhaustive. Some of them is not realistic, but I felt we should provide everything to you in case you look at us and say, well, what did you think about this? All right, so if there's stuff on here that you don't think, or if you just want to leave it up to staff, we can come back with something that may look a little bit different, or that we can just focus on selling, right? So, like I'm thinking like elevator doors is probably a prime example. The open wall spaces in arenas is another example. The light standards, the fence lines, that kind of stuff. Previous councils didn't, I don't want to say support, but didn't encourage us to do outdoor advertising because they were concerned about how the properties may look. So not sure if that is the feel of this group, or if you want to see a mock-up of what a fence line may look like at a ball diamond, that kind of stuff, right? So.
Any other questions or comments? Jagger.
Through the chair to the director, has there been any businesses, local or otherwise, that have approached the municipality recently about advertising space? What sort of volume are you looking at as far as potential customers?
So we've had, I'm going, and I'll turn this over to Kate and Paul, because that's the division that deals with the actual sales component.
Yeah, so we do have a series of businesses that advertise on the ring boards, and they are looking for other options. We've had people reach out specifically about the ball diamonds. And then there are a few municipal areas that have advertisements on them that are not done by the municipality. They're done by other groups, so that's not managed by us. So a program like this would allow us to control what's going on, more things. But yeah, we have had businesses who are looking for more space.
The other advantage, sorry if I could add to that, the other advantage of having indoors and outdoors is, and having more of an inventory, is we can start doing packages. So if you do a rink board at West Middlesex and a wall board at the Gemini and a wall board or a fence line ad, maybe you get 10% off, right? So we might be able to have price points where there's some discounts based on the volume that you purchase. Currently, we really just sell rink boards, so it's one price, right?
Steve.
The funds that are generated from that, where do they go back to? And who can utilize them?
The funds would go back into the operating budget of the Community Services Department, would be then allocated, if there's a surplus in that department, it would then get allocated into the Community Services Department's Capital Reserve Fund. However, you know, whether it's park, whether it's arena, but it would go into community services. It wouldn't go, so the surplus generated in community services, unless council directs it to go to roads, it would flow back to community services.
Director, what's the process if an organization is approached themselves for naming right, for example, Royals Field or one of the fields on York Street? Can they entertain naming right proposal, or is it that obviously comes through the municipality, correct?
No, so with the new programs and the naming rights policy that we have, it would go through the municipality. There are currently some honorific naming rights that are already in existence that would be recognized through that naming rights policy. There is already a naming rights agreement with the soccer clubhouse that I believe has a number of years remaining on it. So if there's contractual obligations where the municipality is involved in, then those would be recognized.
And just to clarify, if there's a baseball diamond or a soccer field already with a name on it, that would be grandfathered in under the new policy?
No, that's not correct.
That's not correct?
No, so if it's honorific, so we'll use the Hank Van Dyke soccer field, so that's honorific. The Rotary Club has a sign on a ball diamond, and so does Optimist.
Optimist, yes.
Those would, once we go to renew those, the Rotary Club could, if we were to update their sign, they would have to pay the naming rights policy, whatever that, I think it's 2% of the rebuild cost of that diamond.
Okay, thank you. Paul Lattimore.
Yeah, just one other point I wanted to bring up about the spaces and whether we're getting inquiries is they've essentially been off the table for many years, and so the inquiries we used to get have kind of gone down and down and down because it hasn't been an option. I think by creating that option, we'll start to see that interest generate as well. And I think that there is a flavor out there for more advertising as industry grows in the area. I think there's certainly potential for some significant gain there.
Any other questions or comments? Sherry.
What would be the contract selling point on that kind of stuff? Like, is it like a 30-day bind? Is it like 6 months worth, a year? Is that what these businesses are going to have to buy into?
You want that to the director or to Paul, Sherry?
Whoever can best answer it.
I'll leave it, so we don't have that parameter set up yet. Typically, our ring board advertising is on a yearly basis. Personally, and this we need to work within the department, but I'd like to start seeing like 1, 3, and 5 year terms. The longer the term, maybe you get a little bit more of a discount because we don't have to chase you. So there's less staff time involved with that. So we don't have that plan laid out at this point. But personally, and I think I can echo staff, my comments probably echo them, is we're looking at a 1, 3, and 5 year terms. So.
Paul?
And this is brought to this table, this is the start of the process. We haven't gone down that road until we have some sort of green light that says we should invest some time into this. That's when we'll start looking at other municipalities and seeing what they're doing with their fields, with their advertising policies, and develop something that makes sense for us.
Steve and then Councillor Pelkman.
I was looking at some of the restrictions that you listed there, and would you mostly try to focus on local business, or would you be open to provincial governments advertising, federal governments advertising, political candidates advertising? Just looking at it, I can see that might be controversial in some ways. I was just wondering if these limitations are in there or they're open to that.
So if the federal government, provincial government wants to advertise, we don't turn them away now. I don't know why we would turn them away in the future. Political candidates we would not accept. That's for a whole slew of other reasons. But for the most part, we would be open to anyone who'd want to advertise. We've had law firms out of London who've advertised on our rink boards and so on. So it's not as long as they're meeting the regulations set out by the Canadian Code of Advertising Standards. We would look at all. Typically, it's local. It's not very often you're going to get a national based company if they don't have a local tie to the community to advertise on your properties, your facilities.
Good question. Councillor Copeland.
Just a question about upkeep. So let's say we did sell a 5-year contract. Who's responsible for replacing the sign if it gets vandalized?
So again, we're at the infancy of this. We haven't gone through all of that. So we'll be reaching out to other municipalities and see what their programs are and see what the standard is across the sector before we start laying out those guidelines.
Any other questions or comments before we move on? Okay, thank you. Let's move to number 7, reports of committees and departments. Looking for a recommendation that the reports from committees and departments be received for information. Need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Copeland and Adrian. Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. Anything for the PTP this month, Director?
No, I just, again, share the list with everyone. We do have, we hope to bring forward to the next committee meeting is the draft layout for the community gardens. So we've asked for that whole project to be phased in. So the consultants are pulling together different layers as well as some high-level costing to identify what the overall cost would be. So hopefully we'll get that to the next meeting, and then because council did give us directions to develop a plan, so we will be taking that plan to council in the future as well for them to give us the go-ahead to move on to the next step, which would be to start building the community garden.
Okay. Let's go to new business market update, and we'll throw it over to Kate.
All right, so looking at the market in 2023 and projecting into 2024, we are already ahead of where we would have been in 2023. So looking at last year's season, the highest number of vendors were in the home decor and craft category. You'll see a larger amount of non-food products because the growing season is limited. So we do see more of those home decor, craft people through the shoulder seasons. In 2023, we did see a decrease in revenue, a loss of $3,264.99. That was because it was decided that BIA members would get their spaces for free instead of having to pay a seasonal vendor rate. So that's where we saw that decrease. But looking at this year already, we're sitting just around $3,000 less than we were in 2023. And just today, we have 12 more applicants for the market, so that will go up. And as we get closer and people know their schedules, all of those dates will go up as well. So we are on track to do better this year than we did last year, and hopefully we'll meet our 2022 or beyond.
Any questions for Kate? Jagger.
I guess it's a 2-part question. Where would the revenue go back to with respect to the fees? And does the shortfall, would that affect any part of the infrastructure for the market itself or anything like that?
So the market operates on a very fine line budget. It's very small. Generally what we bring in vendors, we put out that same year in the entertainment or any of the upgrades that are required. The market does not make money.
Councillor Wilson.
Just for the information of CDAC, we went through a lot of this with the budget. There is actually a part-time person who we've hired to help run the market for the weekends. So there's, I can't remember the number, it was 20-something thousand, I think was what it was going to cost in labor for the year. Maybe Director has that number handy, but there is in addition, so if this goes back into entertainment and everything else that comes there, we are still spending $27,000 on labor to staff the market for municipal staff.
So the cost for the part-time employee or the summer student that we have to help run the market is around $24,000. We have identified taxation of about $16,000 to offset that operating loss. So the market is it's not a revenue generator, but as Kate indicated, the money that comes into the market will be spent. The revenues are spent directly correlated to offset those expenses. So our goal is to always lessen the tax burden. So I would hope that you know, if the weather's good and we get record number of vendors and so on, that we won't actually see a taxation requirement of $16,000 and we would end up with a surplus at the end of the year. There'd still be a taxation component, but it may not be $16,000. So $16,000 in my eyes is worst case scenario.
Steve?
What's the demand been like locally for the market? Have you seen a good response to it? Is it used a lot? I know when it first started, it was packed, all the streets, right?
I would direct that right at Kate. She would have a good handle on that response, or Paul, one of the two.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's a dying thing, and if it's a dying thing, then should we be investing in it, or is it something that was a good thing at one time, but now it's dying away?
I can tell you before we throw it over there's surrounding communities that are now introducing a downtown market on the weekend. One of them is Watford. That's starting their inaugurated market this year, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll throw it to Kate.
Yeah, so vendor-wise, we generally see between 40 to 60 market vendors per week. And then in attendance, it's hard to calculate exactly how many people are there, so we do an hourly count and do an average. We see between 400 and 600 people attending the market each weekend.
And
Just follow up, Steve, yes.
The local businesses that are situated in that area, are they happy with the downtown market being there? Like, is it a feeder for them, or does it actually take away customers from them? So let's say the coffee shop there. If they're selling coffee out on Front Street by a local by one of these vendors, seasonal vendors, is that taking away from our local downtown business that normally would sell that product? And if so, is there kind of a conflict there that we're producing with the taxpayer that's paying for their business to be there the whole time?
Fair question.
And the seasonal vendor?
Fair question. Kate?
The general feedback is positive. We actually send a survey out mid-season and end of season, and that goes to BIA members and market vendors. We really encourage BIA members to be a part of the market, holds the space in front of their business. And then we also, when we're accepting vendors, we're cautious as to the businesses that are on the street. So when we look at florists, to keep the market at less than 3% of floral vendors, we include Green Bee Floral in that number. She does come on as a market vendor as well. She takes one of those BIA spaces, but those businesses are included in the numbers when we're doing the acceptances.
Councillor Pammer.
Yeah, I think those are really good comments, Steve, and there are things that have gone back and forth. I know when I was involved with the BIA when the market first started, and I think it's something that we have to continue, and I think that Kate and her team is working on and increasing the communication with the BIA and working out some of those kinks. I think one of the great things that happened was that because, you know, we pay property taxes, was we shouldn't have to pay for the spot in front of our store. Right, so that was an accommodation that was made, or in front of your business, that if you were in the BIA, you could take the spot and not have to pay a fee in addition to be part of that, since you technically already pay property tax for the space. So I think that's one accommodation, but I know that not everybody's happy. I would be really interested if you could share the feedback of the survey at some point with us. I think that might shed a lot of some light on what people, both BIA members and non-members and market vendors felt about the market. I think that would be helpful to see.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
The last comment I'm going to add to this is the market is not designed just as a direct revenue generator for the municipality. it's designed as an indirect revenue generator for the community and especially the BIA. So drawing those 400 to 600 people downtown so that they're maybe coming to visit the market, but they're also there to visit the stores in that area. And that's an opportunity for those businesses downtown to capitalize on a captive market and audience that's there. So something, and that's what Kate's really been working on with the BIA and increasing that communication and work so that we can maximize those benefits.
I have a couple of questions for Kate, just for the benefit of who's watching at home. Correct me if I'm wrong, opening day is May 25th?
Opening day is the night market on May 18th.
May 18th, thank you very much. And you're looking at the same layout for the market this year, L-shaped front and frank?
That's the plan. The market layout is based on the number of vendors.
Right.
When we reduced from the COVID spacing of 6 feet between each booth, it looks a little bit smaller, but we actually haven't lost.
So night market, May 19th, you said, and
May
the
18th.
May 18th, and the first day market is the 25th?
Yeah.
All right. And what was the other question I had? Oh, yes, I heard really good feedback from the night markets. Were there only 2 last year? And that's part A and part B. Are you planning on any more, or was 2B probably the most?
2 is currently the plan. There will be a 3rd night market around Christmas that we do in collaboration with the BIA.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions or comments about the market? Okay, just a question for the director. Did we want to go right to 8.3 now because it segues perfectly, or do you want to follow the agenda?
Doesn't matter, it's independent but the same, right? So
Okay. Well,
8.3 has to do with the market booth.
yeah, so let's go to 8.3 now. Strathroy Lions Club request at the downtown Strathroy Market. Director, you want to talk to this?
I can start. Kate may want to pop in with a number of not-for-profits who are registered. So the Strathroy Lions Club is planning on putting a booth in. They have a trailer where they do female bacon on a bun, and they sell 50/50 tickets and so on. So they don't feel that they should have to pay full price. So they submitted a letter to council. Council then directed that letter to CDAC for some conversation and discussion. What staff don't have the authority to waive fees or alter fees. Staff do have the authority, because we do have a program called a fee reduction request application form. All not-for-profits and service clubs and so on can submit this application. It gives them 25% off. So we already have a discount available to them, so they wouldn't necessarily be paying full price. I'm not sure exactly what the value is they were looking for, whether it was a full waiving of fees or just a reduction. But we already have a program in place where they can have a reduced fee already, but not just them, but all not-for-profits. So Kate, I'm not sure how many not-for-profits we have registered already.
Currently, there are 4 not-for-profits registered. One of those is a BIA member though, so they don't pay for their space. And the others have registered we do a not-for-profit day on May 25th where we fill some of the off-season spaces with not-for-profit groups. So we have a few that have registered for that, but they've also registered for other dates.
And I think just a comment, I think they're looking to waive the complete fee according to the letter from Lions Desjardins. It says, it's come to our attention that we will have to pay the full price, and the following line says, the Lions do not feel that they should have to pay for that privilege. So I believe it's regarding the full price. Any comments, questions? Councillor Pammer.
Just for everyone's benefit, Kate, could you tell us what the full season cost is? How much are we talking about?
So for a full seasonal booth, you're looking at $350, including HST.
And with 25% off? Come on, Greg, do the math.
You didn't hire me for my math skills.
262.50.
62.
That's with taxes.
For how many weeks?
That is for all 14 morning and then 2 night markets. So
That was
16
my
weeks.
question about the night markets, if they were added.
$16.40.
Councillor Kaufman.
So I think we have a program in place, and I think we should stick with that. You know, I'd certainly be okay with communicating that they can apply for that discount, but I think just, you know, the other thing about what the Lions Club do is they're in direct competition with people who pay for space in the downtown core. And so I don't think it would be a smart idea for us to say, you can have this space for free and take business away from the local businesses that are downtown.
Any other questions or comments? Director.
The other concern that staff would have is if we provide this for one, there would be an expectation that we would have to provide it for all.
Do we need a motion here to decline or anything like this, Director, or how does this work here with the letter of submission for consideration? Oh, Councillor Pammer?
I can make a motion to direct staff to respond back to the Lions Club offering the already approved discounted rate for the 2024 season.
Director, would part of that motion have to be something to do with returning an answer to council because it came from council?
We can do both in concert, so I can take a report to council, just identifying that CDEC has recommended that we approach the Lions Club with a fee reduction.
Councillor Pammer, are you good with that? Looking for a seconder? Jagger, any other questions or comments to the motion? Anyone opposed? Oh, Steve, sorry, go ahead, quick one.
Well, I was just gonna say, if everybody doesn't pay their fees, then there will be no market. So they will get, in the end, nothing,
Correct.
right? And to me, $16 a time, that's easy. I mean, if you're selling female bacon and a drink at $8 a shot, you know, I mean, you only gotta sell 2 to cover your day. So to me, we're not asking for huge amounts of money, and without that money, then this market will probably be shut down, right?
Yeah, good point. So we'll vote to the motion. Anyone opposed? And I will abstain. Carried. Let's move back up to 8.2, program updates. And I'm going to Paul here, I believe. Paul?
Yep. Not a lot of updates from last time. Again, program registrations for everything are going extremely well, especially for the summer. I can let you know that our spring programs, we're just about double the revenue that we generated last year. A big part of that is growth in the programs that we have done, added ones like our exercise programs, and certainly over the last 12 months or so, we've seen the drop in programs, especially for pickleball, really go up and generating more revenue. So good news on that front. We do have a new program that we're going to be adding, is we're going to add a couple golf programs in, learn to golf programs that will be partnering with Caradoc Sands, and we have an instructor that's coming in, Haley Barkley, that's going to work with us now for that. So again, working with partnerships in the community to leverage facilities that aren't necessarily ours, but offer programs in the community. So again, look forward to seeing that and what we can generate from there. And yeah, we've got most of our hiring done for the summer. Just Kate's position for the market and events is I think the last one that we need to hire for. So talking with Councillor Palkman earlier, it's hard to believe how we've grown in our seasonal staff and just the small area that we're responsible for. We've got, I believe, 69 seasonal staff that we are hiring. So. And then ad hoc, that'll put us up to 71, I think. So far cry from what we were even a few years ago. So the growth in our programs continue to go really well. So
Questions, comments for Paul? I actually have a question, but I don't know quite how to word it. Because I think it's a great thing. The programs are great and I participate in a few of them myself. I guess if the municipality is looking for partnering in recreational programs, how does that process work when there's potential businesses that compete directly with each other? And I'll give you an example. If we were to have it, 2 curling clubs. So if the municipality wanted to run a curling program and there's 2 curling clubs in town, how would that be approached as far as, would they both be talked to equally to see if there was interest, or would the municipality just pick who they want? I guess that's what I'm looking at asking here. And I'll use curling clubs to not specifically talk about any other sports.
Well, that's pretty vague, so I'm gonna try to give you as vague an
Let me try.
answer.
I don't know if it's as vague as I thought it was coming out of my mouth.
I think I know what you're saying, so
Okay, go ahead.
I can address, like, the municipality will entertain partnerships with anyone, and sometimes it may be the organization that approaches us first, simply put that way. Or it may be an organization that we have a previous relationship and have worked with. But certainly I can speak from my own experience that nobody has ever had the door shut on them saying we're not going to entertain anything, because our role has always been to provide the most that we can for the community and work with organizations. So if any part of that question included, would we run a program to try and directly compete and essentially run down another program? That's not our goal and not how we operate.
That was not Dangle at all, and I'm glad you clarified that. The question was mainly surrounded reaching out to partner with an organization and the reason why I used curling club was not because if we have 2 curling clubs in town and the municipality wants to partner with one to have a curling program for kids, how would they determine which of the 2 curling clubs they would go to? The municipality is not taking away business from anybody else, but if partnering with one Club A versus Club B maybe would hurt Club B, and I just wondered how that would work as far as creating that partnership and how would the municipality go about it. I guess that's what I was angling at.
Yep. I'm just going to jump out and answer. I think what the question may be is the facilities at the course that will be at Caradoc Sands will work for the program and provide the facilities we need, where any other golf courses in the area don't have the proper facilities for the program that we'll be running. So,
okay. Well, thanks for the clarification, Paul. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Any other comments or questions regarding program updates? Okay. 8.4 under new business, seasonal changeover, Director.
I'm gonna pass that off to Darren Dowding, the supervisor of Parks and Recreational Facilities.
Mr. Dowding, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, seasonal changeovers, obviously a busy time of year for our outside staff, inside staff being the same staff that are outside. So we're kind of in double up mode right now. Exciting time of year for a lot of facility attendants and facility staff that see the ice get carried out of the arena. So a little bit of reprieve for them for a little bit to get outside, get some fresh air. But spring cleanup's underway in the parks, obviously weather dependent. Some of our outdoor amenities are starting to open. As in previous years, please expect to see amenities open by May, mid-May, weather dependent. So I know the sun's shining and a lot of people are itching to get outside, but we still have some cold. Dog parks, just to get back to the public again, back to Thursday maintenance day. So just a little bit of an awareness piece that staff will be back on site Thursday mornings, 8 to noon in that time frame. So please expect some future closure.
Anyone? Director, go ahead.
I just want to elaborate a little bit on Darren's comments. I'll give you an example of how our indoor staff or our outdoor staff, we're going to be taking ice out of a facility while we're opening a pool on the same day, right? So it's not that we have, we're flush with staff. Staff do double duty, and this time of year is extremely busy when we're trying to close facilities and open other facilities. So staff do get taxed. So when Darren made the comment about, be patient with us, that typically our season is May 1st. If we're able to get the tennis court nets up a week or two earlier, we'll try to get the tennis nets up a week or two earlier. But typically, parks and open spaces open up on May 1st. So we do have a limited number of staff with a significant number of assets.
I will make a comment, because I spend a lot of time in the arenas during the winter, and obviously recreation facilities in the summer. The staff has been fantastic over the winter, especially at the arenas, because there was a few special events, including a banner raising, where we had to lean on you and your staff at the last minute for some changes and whatnot, and it happened a couple of times during the season, so appreciate it, and all the staff that are working at the arenas. Nothing but good comments from what I've heard, so well done. Any other comments or questions for Darren? Okay. Inquiries or comments by members. We'll start to my left with Brad.
Thanks, Chris. Just an update on the Easter egg hunt that was about a week or two ago. We had about 360 kids out. That's down from last year. We had about 420 the year before. And it was cold and very wet that day. But with the inside facilities, Kate had the jumpy, place, what do you call it, the kids jump in. And it was a big hit. There was more people in there than there was outside. But it went well.
Thanks, Brad. Councillor Palmer. Councillor Kaufman.
It was April 9th at 8 p.m. when Chris Soares said he was at a loss for words.
When was it? What? I don't even know.
You said it. You
Just
said
now?
you were at a loss for words, so I looked at the time. It was April 9th at 8 p.m.
Steve. Oh, sorry, Adrian.
Nothing for me, thanks.
Steve. Councillor Wilson.
Just a question. Earlier tonight, Councillor Pam had asked about getting the survey results for the BIA back for the market. We didn't do a motion or anything for that. I just wanted to see if we need a motion or if that's coming back. If we need a motion for that,
Director.
You'll have it before I leave this meeting tonight.
all right.
That's service right there.
Nothing required then, nothing further from me. I just want to make sure we had everything covered.
No, good. Thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Wilson. Jagger.
I just wanted to mention that the Rotary Club is hosting Girl Scout Country at the Caradoc Community Center on Saturday at 6 o'clock. I think it starts. And tickets might still be available. I don't know.
And you said tickets. There's still tickets available.
I believe so. Yes, and I will be bartending. So if anybody wants to come by.
Good. We'll
Looking for tips, eh?
We'll let the inspector know. Sherry. All I had was for you golfers out there, it is Masters Week, so enjoy it. Next meeting, Tuesday, May the 14th at 7 p.m. And we need a recommendation for adjournment. Councillor Kaufman, Adrian, all in favor of adjournment? All right, thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.